Today, we live in a world of cancel culture. You can be a board certified medical expert and say something that a platform doesn't like and get your account suspended. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how you can prevent the back problems that happen when uh, this just craziness happens and move forward in your career as a recognized expert, as a leader in your industry, and essentially be uncancelable. I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations. If you want to be more influential in your industry, if you want to be the expert that other experts turn to, if you want to grow your career in a way that cannot be stopped, you must not rely on other people's media. Experts must have their own media, even if it's just a simple house list or a big Rolodex full of contacts, because if you're platform independent, you can survive these turmoils that are happening today. So here's the story of Dr. Peter McAuliffe, who is accused of COVID misinformation. He is a renowned, a world renowned, board certified medical expert that other experts depend on. That's a mouthful, but basically, he's invested his life in understanding and knowing his topic so well that he can present an expert opinion in any platform. Unfortunately, he was on Twitter with 512,000 followers, and Twitter suspends his account for, quote, COVID misinformation. Science is disrupted when opinions and discussion are thwarted, meaning when they're canceling these accounts, good quality information will not make it to the people who need to receive it. And in this case, these individuals have chosen to follow uh, Dr. Peter McAuliffe. And whether his information is right or wrong, these people have made a decision to follow him. Now, even if he had half of these individuals on an email list, so a list of 200,000 email subscribers. Now, again, you have to have permissions and things. He could bypass this ban by simply inviting his people to a different platform. The concept of being platform independent is what Twitter, what Facebook, what LinkedIn fear the most. When you own your audience or you've developed your own herd, you can convey this information to these individuals as an expert. Now, of course, I'm talking about real experts, people who've dedicated their life to learning and educating themselves about a particular topic and a dialogue rather than just simply a sensational broadcast. So when you build your mailing list, whether it's again a contact manager, now if you have 200,000 people, it's not going to go in a contact manager, but essentially if you build up an understanding of those people interested in the topics you have, you can deliver your message in a book, as an email newsletter, as a print newsletter, or even just simply announce where you've been published in other platforms, and you can create a storm of interested people and literally shortcut their ability to get to the answers you can provide. Now, what's important about this is many of your followers will be peers in your industry, and it can open up dialogue that puts you in front of decision makers if you're looking for funding for research, if you're looking for a new career opportunity, or otherwise you're looking for that next step. So let's talk about how do we do this as an expert, because you may be an expert in medical, you may be an expert in legal, you may be an expert in engineering, but you may not understand the marketing elements necessary in order to secure this influence. So number one, if you're on a number of platforms, everything you post on those platforms, you must keep a copy of. So you're going to keep a copy for two important reasons. Number one is legal liability. Should you post something that is incorrect, you can address it more effectively by having your information organized. So a lot of folks will do this in a contact manager, keeping track of the emails they send to individuals, or they'll do text files on a disk somewhere. However you do it, doesn't matter. The key is you're maintaining a journal of your external communications so that you have a library of what has been said should anybody cancel you or accuse you, or you have a medical liability or a professional liability circumstance. Number two is if you are a professional, you want to make sure that you've structured your professional communications in some means that's relevant to what you're doing. So, for example, if you're a doctor and you have a medical practice, you want your professional communications or your public communications outside of your medical practice for liability purposes. I know a lot of folks are worried about cancellation, being canceled, or having an account suspended, but there's really a larger risk of being doxxed or having someone uh, really uh, go after you in the reputation realm that you can secure having that separate organization. Now, later, if you do have a list of 200,000 followers, you can hire an assistant, you can hire somebody to manage your communications. But again, that journal of what you said prevents somebody from misrepresenting you, and having the organization structured in such a way that the public communications is outside of your main business. Now, it doesn't mean that it can't promote your main business or it can't create positive public relations for your main business, but from a management, or it doesn't distract from your main business. Number three is you want to be thinking about the book deals, the next thing. So I know you probably only have 1,000 followers on this channel and maybe a couple hundred followers on another channel. But by creating your own media, meaning collecting those individuals on an opt in list in your contact manager or other means, you are now creating this other channel that allows you to cross pollinate on the channels you have. So let's say you never talk about anything so controversial that you'd get suspended from a platform today, but in a year from now, let's say you say something and you get suspended, you don't want to lose access to those individuals. So the third part is really having that platform inside of a structure with a library of materials so that you can periodically send out a post. So I recently replied to a post and I said, this is why experts need to own their media, even if it's a house list. Becoming platform independent helps you mitigate this mess. Imagine an email list half the size of the followers. That's what Twitter fears. So I've taken a paragraph, and within my publishing business, within my newsletter business, and again, just go for break even. This is, you don't have to start a newsletter unless you have book deal opportunities and channels to publish with. But I'm taking this small paragraph and I'm able to turn it into a podcast to extend the conversation and provide additional information. The reason professionals such as Peter McCullough, Dr. Peter McCullough, is out on a platform is to promote the research, the career, to build credentials. And if you're doing that inside your original business and you have a liability issue, it could harm your original business. But if you're also doing it on platforms alone, you could get turned off on a platform. What I'm advocating here, number four, is a system for maintaining a library of what you've published, but then recycling those materials, whether through your own efforts or through staff, in order to expand your influence in a marketplace. Now, why is it important to expand your influence? Well, in this case, I've learned about Dr. Peter McCullough's challenge through another medical doctor who is advocating for his interest. So he was canceled on a platform, and this other person is broadcasting within their social network. The big challenge of this is that he's been turned off. My argument is, if you are platform independent, meaning you're leveraging these platforms as they're meant to be leveraged for promotion, you're promoting something which is your own list. When you're promoting your own list, Twitter can cancel you tomorrow and you'll be over on Rumble. Rumble can cancel you, you'll be over on YouTube. Or you can be on multiple channels because you have a small structure in place. Now, again, thinking for the big picture is there a book deal? If you've got 500,000 followers, there's an opportunity for a book. Unfortunately, most experts and professionals don't have the time or necessarily the resources to sit down and write a book, but you could already be writing papers that this audience is interested in. You could already be doing things in your practice that this audience is interested in. And if you lose that audience all because of the whims of Twitter rules or a cancel mob, um, you're missing the the profit that comes from the effort you've previously made to build an audience. The audience is more important than the platform. You need to own the platform. And today you can do this easier than ever before. Imagine if Dr. Peter McCullough or anybody else who has a large following on Twitter gets canceled from Twitter, and then simply reaches out to their list and does a webinar to use this relevant publicity opportunity to share their message at an even louder volume. Now, again, we're not about who can shout the loudest, but when you have a large audience, why risk losing it to the whims of the general public? Now, in a lot of what we talk about here at Inside Strategic Relations, I want to see an expert leveraging their experience and knowledge so that when they're moving towards retirement or maybe thinking about selling their practice or getting out of their practice, they have a platform for speaking opportunities, a platform for books and publications, a platform to mentor new people in the field, and to ultimately create a better value with the investment they already have. And if this is something you're interested in, visit www.insidestrategicrelations.com, go to the contact page, and ask your questions. We like to help experts become recognized in their field. We have methods to help you become a publisher or to have a newsletter or to even be featured in other credible publications in ways that doesn't add extra work to your current situation, but over time develops opportunities where you cannot be canceled, where your message can be shared and heard by those individuals who desire what you have to share or teach, and that you can be a better contributor or producer in this world today. Unfortunately, a lot of these top media channels are simply echo chambers designed to sell advertising. And in order to break out of that world, you have to have your own media. It's easier when you've kept track of what you've published in the past, and ultimately when you've set up some kind of autonomous means of moving those messages forward. And just one example before we go, I have seen medical doctors who are doing research have a technician or an assistant in their office who simply summarizes their research papers and then publishes excerpts on different platforms, and then spends a lot of their day looking for trade publications or other avenues to get that research out. It has meant millions of dollars in funding for their research, and I've seen a similar model used by professionals in the patent industry, so patent lawyers, as well as consultants in their area. And a lot of times, what they're doing is setting up the opportunity to become a consultant or an expert in their retirement when they're done with their practice or their firm has developed where they're just not needing to do the day-to-day work. This is an extremely fulfilling way to use what you know and transform the knowledge you have into valuable resources for people who are interested in that topic, and ultimately to position yourself as a credible expert across many different areas, not just the area where you had your original research. So, for example, if you're a medical doctor and you've done research in virology, you can leverage that into advocacy, or you can leverage that into research, other research projects, or even a practice. It's it's something that allows you to do the work once and profit many times. I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations, where we help uh, experts, high income professionals really create a legacy with their knowledge and build out these systems that basically make them unable to be canceled. If you have any questions, you can visit us at www.insidestrategicrelations.com. And thanks for being a part of this podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe, ask questions. We love to hear about the successes that our listeners have had. And I'll see you in the next episode.